Welcome to 6.3, Module 6, Lesson 3. This lesson is very similar to 6.2, and so we're going to move a little bit more quickly through plotting points on a coordinate plane. Today's learning target is I can name points using coordinate pairs and use the coordinate pairs to plot points. So we are going to be looking at a coordinate pair and coordinate plane today. The materials that you will need, you should have taken home lesson 3 template, which is a graph that you will see in just a second. This here is the template that you should have taken home. I'm going to collect it when you come back to school on the day of lesson 3. So make sure that you're following along on your template so that it looks somewhat like mine by the time you are done. All right, let's get started. So very first thing, in order to make this a coordinate plane, we need to draw our x-axis and our y-axis. So step one, let's draw our x-axis. And our x-axis is going to go through point A and B. And so I'm going to draw a line as straight as I possibly can. And I'm going to label it my x-axis. Please do this with me. And I'm going to draw a little arrow on the end to indicate that it goes on forever. And then I'm also going to draw my y-axis coming down through points D and C. And I'm going to draw an arrow at the end. Let's label this y-axis. Please label this with me. And x-axis. Like that. Let me thin this out. Okay. So let's get started. Let's find point A on our coordinate plane. And I kind of covered it up a little bit, but that's okay. Point A is right here. And we're going to go in alphabetical order. And I want to plot these out. Now, I have a problem. I don't have numbers here. So here's what we want to do. We want our x-axis and our y-axis to go all the way up to 5. 5 whole numbers. So I need to count my x-axis. Please count this with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. Now, if there are 20 lines here and I want 5 whole numbers altogether, if I label this 5, let me go back to black. If I label this 5, and I'll label this 5, I need to find out what distance it is between whole numbers. And so if I have 20 divided by 5, every 4 I'll have a whole number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to do the same here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That means that each line here is worth 1/4. So I'm just going to label my halves, and just remember that it goes 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and this 2/4 part here can be 1/2 as well. So 1/2 and 1/2, and I'm just going to keep that in mind for the rest of these lines. Okay, so let's get started. Point A. Now I need to find point A's x value, and if I move down, I see that point A, its x value, its x coordinate is 1. Its y coordinate, well, it hasn't moved up at all. So if I trace it back to the origin, I know that its y value is 0. So its coordinate is 1, 0. Let's find point B over here, moving along. On our number line, I know it's between 4 and 5, and it's 1, 2, 3 hash marks away. So the x coordinate is 4 and 1/4. And the y coordinate, again, it hasn't moved up. It is 0. Let's move on to C and D. Now, these actually haven't moved anywhere on our x-axis, because if I go to C and I trace it down, It's at the origin. It's at 0. So the x-coordinate is going to be 0. And its y-coordinate, how far up it's moved, is 2. Same with D. Trace it down. Its x-coordinate is 0. Its y-coordinate is 4 1/4. Let's see, A, B, C, D, E. Here is point E. Find the coordinates of point E. Well, if I trace E down, I see that its x-coordinate is 2. And I see that its y-coordinate is 1. F. Let's move on to F. Tracing F down, its x-coordinate is 4. And its y-coordinate is 2 1/3 right here. So 2 3/4. Moving on to G. G's value, its x-coordinate, move down, is 1 1/4. And its y-coordinate is 3 1/2 or 3.5. H. Let's move on to coordinate H. Move it down. H is here at 4 1/4. And here at 4 1/2. And as I went down here, I noticed that I mislabeled point B. So pardon me for that. But if I go back and look, point B is not at 4 1/4. This is 4 1/4. So I need to change that. Its x-coordinate is actually 4 3/4. So if you caught that, good job. Please make sure that you make that adjustment. And that is it. I will be going over this more with you in class on Wednesday, but you do not need to come to the mini lesson for 6.3. Please answer this question on your exit ticket and mark it on your paper and turn your paper in on Wednesday. Thanks a lot.